Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're having a great day. I want to say Merry Christmas as well, because this video will be going live either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So yeah, obviously I'm filming it a little earlier, but Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you are having a great holiday season, and that you've had time with family or friends or celebrating in the way that you choose to celebrate, whatever this holiday season looks like, whether it's Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, you don't celebrate at all, or just, happy winter, whatever that is. So, yeah, hope you're enjoying the season. Today, seeing as how it's Christmas, I thought I would show you how to make a really lovely gift. So these are some ornaments. These are ones actually that I've made for my family, and I have a bunch that I've made for my crafty friends. And I thought this would be kind of fun to do for today, actually. Yeah, so it's a very simple process. There's multiple steps to it. So I want to get started, but essentially, this is where we're starting from. And depending on the images that you choose, there's multiple, obviously, many different ways of doing this. So I'm going to put these examples aside now, and we'll get started. So the first thing that I've done is I have taken my wood round. Where did I put the wood round that I was going to be dealing with? Here it is. Okay. Okay. And I have a piece of paper here, and I have just traced the shape. So the ones that I did for my craft friends are on these, I want to say they're about 3 inches across. And they have a little ornament tab here that I just used my heat tool to heat up the glue, the adhesive, and then a little spatula and popped it off so that I could get a nice flat surface to put them on. The ones that I did for my family, these are from the Dollar Tree. So these ones I found at the Canadian Dollarama store. Four to a package for I think $1.50 or $2, something like that. They have a little red ribbon on them as well, which I have torn off and am yeah, just be doing my own thing with some beads and whatnot. But any wood shape will do, or like you could use a tree branch, you could use ceramic. I mean, whatever. You just need a surface, ornament surface, whatever to do it with. The larger wood blocks that I got are from Dollar Tree, sorry, and yeah, I can't seem to find any more this year, so I've been stockpiling them because I've had this idea for a while. So basically what I did is I traced the shape so that I knew what would fit onto the ornament. Because obviously I don't want to create, if this is how big my ornament is, I don't want to create a scene that is this big because it won't fit on there, obviously, right? So I want to have something that's going to roughly fit. Now, if I end up taking off a tail or a wing or something like that, it's not the end of the world. I still have the gist of the scene, but I basically want it to fit within that. Okay. And then the next thing that I'm going to take is some tissue paper. Now, this is just plain ordinary gift wrap tissue. Came in big sheets that I got from the dollar store again. You want white. And I cut them into these little sections here, and this is what we're going to use today. So something else with your wooden rounds or whatever you're using. Now, you could paint this white. I wouldn't go dark because it's going to you'll have a hard time seeing your image through this. But as you can see, this color, I quite liked the color of the wood showing through onto my ornaments. So I didn't bother to paint them white, but you certainly could. You can also paint the edges. I did something different. I had a brainwave one day and was like, oh, I could do that. So that's which I will show you when I finish here, but or that's one of the final steps. So I'll be showing that as well. But yeah, so you can paint this. I would stick, as I said, with light colors because whatever you put on here is going to show through. Like you can quite clearly see the neutral tone or the natural tone of the wood behind this. Okay. All right, I'm going to put this aside here. And okay, so the first thing that I've done is I brought out some of my Lavinia stamps and I'm laying out my design. So I want to check and see what's going to fit. So what I've done is I have this fairy here. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. Oh yeah, you should be able to see that. Okay. I have a fairy and I have a cat like this. So the fairy's going to be kind of like placing the little star dangler. So it looks almost like an ornament coming towards that, kind of floating a little bit. And then we've got the cat kind of looking up. So you can see that that all fits in general inside what would be my ornament shape, right? Okay, so I'm going to take these. Now, for this process, you want to be using a permanent ink because we are going to be using Mod Podge. So if you're not using a permanent ink, then you're going to end up having it'll bleed when you go to use your Mod Podge, which is like a water-based thing. So you can't use dye-based inks. You need to use something that is permanent. You'll also notice that there are um, well, obviously there's two sides to this piece of paper, but there's two different textures. One side is quite smooth and the other side is quite rough. So it's a little grainy. And so that is the side that I'm going to have up is the grainy side. Okay. And I want the grainy side up for a specific reason. I want that texture. I want that little bit of bite. And so I'm going to take my black. So this is VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, which is the black color. And I'm going to ink up my stamp. Okay. And of course, this doesn't have to be perfect, but you can see here, you can see how shiny it is. That's how you can tell, did I get ink pretty much everywhere? Because I'm not using a stamp platform for this. I think a stamp platform trying to lift it too many times might be a little rough on the tissue paper. So you pretty much have to hit it and be done with it. That's about all you're going to be able to do. So let's put that down there. Okay, we're just going to hold it for a second. Okay, that's a pretty good image. And you'll notice that's how fine your tissue paper is. It actually goes right through. So because I have her on my stamp here, I'm going to kind of go over again about halfway because I can get two pieces out of this because I need one side. I need one for each side of my ornament. So I'm going to stamp this again. So I'm inking up my stamp again. Making sure again that I'm getting really good coverage. And I'm gonna, now I don't have to have it exactly the same as it was the last time, but I'm gonna put it in the same general area because I was happy with that placement. Get a baby wick to clean off my stamp with. We're lifting, and there we go. We've got a very nice, a good crisp image, which is what we want. And I'll put that off to the side there. Okay, so this is also, so because it is a pigment ink, as we know, that's going to take some time to dry. So the next image that I want to do is I'm going to do the cat. I'm also going to do the cat in black. So my main images, my focal images are going to be in black. Black stands out the best. Okay, so that's where it's sat. I'm going to put the kitty down here like this. Go, and kitty. I'm just going to kind of line that up a bit. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as it was on the would be front side, back side, whatever, on the other side of the ornament. It's gonna, okay, and I'm gonna show you again here. Like you can see how shiny. So it looks like I've got a good ink coverage. Because this is pretty much a one and done. The tissue paper is so fine, you're not gonna have time to do it again. Okay, now the last part that I'm going to add in is my charm. Okay, so this is well, not the last part. I have another part that I'm going to do, but this is the part that is going to go on this side of the paper. Okay, so now I want the charm to fit right in and around there. Nope, right about there. Yeah. So I'm only going to ink up just a portion of it. I'm not going to go all the way up the string of the star. And now you probably, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera there, but you can see where the black hits. So the black starts right about there where I've inked it up, right? So if we look, yeah, you can see right there. I didn't ink this part, but I did ink this. So that's where I want to try and aim for that black area to hit. Now it can come a little bit outside of my circle, which will be fine because when I go to take that off, it can that will come off. This is the edge of my circle, so that's fine. Okay, there's one star. And let's line these guys up again, roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to ink this up again. I think I got a little too much. Okay, so we're going to come at it. Let's see. Right about there. You know? Okay, awesome. Now, what I wanted to show you is we're going to ink this side. We're going to add a little bit of depth underneath the cat. We want to make sure that he is grounded, right? Because as you look at it right now, they look like they're kind of, the cat doesn't have any wings, but it looks like it's flying in the space with, or in the air with the fairy. So that's obviously not going to work, right? So we do need to add a little bit of grounding underneath the cat in particular, but it's also nice because we can add a little bit of color then to this particular image. So I'm going to use the warm breeze. Nope, I'm going to use the Bali blue. So this is Versafine Clair Bali blue. Pull this out, and I've done. This is just a piece of paper that I had that I've just torn, just to give me a nice kind of roughish edge. Roughish. It's going to move this to the side here because I want to turn this. Okay, so I'm leaving it in the circle area because I want to see where this is going to hit roughly. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. No, by any means, it doesn't need to be perfect. But I do want to see where I'm going to be getting color. How much color do I need? And so I'm just going to kind of line this up with the butt where you can see the little feet and the bum of the cat. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of line it up right there a little bit. And I'm going to dip um, my ink blender brush into my Bali blue. So this is the lighter blue. And now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to wipe from the top here a little bit more color like this. Lift that up. I'm going to keep my finger on it here, but just so that you can see. So we've added just a little bit of grounding. Looks like the kitty's just sitting on a little bit of a mountain there. And I'm going to close the Bali blue, but what I want to do here to have a little bit more depth and dimension, I'm going to pull open the warm breeze. Oof. And now I've got a slightly smaller or a finer detail blending brush here. Take that and I'm going to just tap it off a little bit. So you can see how much darker that is than the Bali blue, right? So we're going to tap that off and then I want to just come in right on the edge here. I don't need it to go too far, but I do want to give, again, this is going to give it just a little bit more depth, a little bit more dimension, and we can check it out. There we go. So you can see how it's lighter, fades down, and then you get that deeper color. So I'm going to put this to the side here, and now I'm going to pull over my second image, and I'm going to repeat the exact same steps. So I'm going to bring in the Bali blue, opening that up, and I'm going to match this up under the kitty bum like that. And I'm going to ink up, tap off a little bit here. I'll tap off in front of you guys. I usually like to tap off in the lid because then it's I can use the ink if I need to, but again, I'm gonna start off onto the mask, which is what this is. Okay. So I've created a grounding mask, a little bit more color here. So when you start off here, because it allows you to bring your color off. So you want the most color hitting your mask so that you have more control over how much is actually hitting onto your project. Okay. That. And you can see here, because my ink is not dry, I'm actually starting to drag just a little bit of the black off. Okay. Which is why you need to give your inks, you want to give them time to dry. But seeing as how this is a demo, I don't have time to give it time to dry, right? But it's not that bad. Just add this in, pick that up and have a look, keeping my fingers in place. Yeah, good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to put these colors just fine for now. Okay, and I'm going to put my grounding mask away for now. And now, so here's where we're at. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. Now, these are really good, crisp images. Actually, I'm very happy with them. It's looking really great. But what I think would be really nice is to add some words on top of there. So the words that I have are underneath here. Okay, these are some winter words and they're really lovely. So to practice, to see if I like it or not, what I can do. So now obviously what I would do is I would cut this in half. Front half from one side of the ornament, and this would be the other half of the ornament. But in order to practice, do I like what this could look like? Is I have, because again, we have our basic scene here, right? So I've got the winter words here. So it's got a little bit of snowfall. And I'm going to do them in the Bali blue. And the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to actually stamp off because I'm not sure if I want it full strength. Okay, so, and we could do like that. I think I might actually like it full strength, right? Just having the blue on top of there, kind of up above where the sky is here. So the interesting thing, so do you remember how I said when we started that the textured side is the one that we're going to do the main parts of our images on? Okay, so that's what we're going to do, which is great. You also want to use your textured side if you're coloring. So I used a crayon, for example. Shoot. Just a minute. Nobody go anywhere. Gotta find my crayons. Because I gotta finish grounding the kitty. So I'm going to use my Derwent Inktense ink pencils here to just add a bit of a shadow under the kitty. And I'm going to do that on the textured side because that's going to be the side that's going to go face down, if you will, onto our onto the ornament. Okay. But in the meantime, what I want to do is the kitty is going to be throwing just a bit of a shadow, just like that. This is one of the ways that you can add depth and dimension, right? Is to add, because even if it was inside or whatever, it would have a shadow. So here's the difference. So you can see Kitty has thrown a bit of a shadow there, bit of a shadow there, because I will show you what happens if you forget to do that. There we go. Let me just close these before I knock them over. So if you forget and you, because you want to make sure, again, anything that is water-based is going face down on your project. Because if you go face up on it, your ink will bleed, such as, let me show you what happens. Where's the example? Where's the example? Where's my books? Where's my books? Where's my books? Here. Of course, it's the last one in the pile. Okay, so this is one that I created, and you can see here where some of the colors have stretched. So underneath the glitter, because I colored it on the top part here using my pencil crayons instead of doing it on the part that I was going to put underneath here. So you can see where it's stretched. So instead, what I did, while my brush was wet with the Mod Podge, I actually just drug it across so that it created kind of like a streak, looks like a, I don't know, books going through hyperspace, if you will, something like that. Anyway, so I worked with it, but in order for you guys not to have to do that, I recommend doing it on the rough side, which we're going to put face down. But now, I also did I also did a couple that had kitties on them and I had words on it, but I stamped them on this side. So they looked lovely to me as I was trying to read them from here, but they were backwards when I went to go and put them on the project. So you want to make sure that you are now, so we're going to do the opposite here. In order to have these words showing, I need to make sure that I'm stamping them on the top that is going to, on the part of the tissue that is actually going to be up, right? This is my top side, which is also why it's important that you want to use a permanent ink, right? So you need to use a permanent base. So stays on, I mean, although I don't recommend using stays on too often because it can trash out your stamps. Uh, uh, Pigment-based inks like VersaFine Clair, you can use mementos, which are an acetate free, no, acetates are dye-based, so you can't use that. But archival, you can use an archival ink and that will work. So I'm basically just trying to center this a little bit, kind of having the same general gist of where it is so that I can see where my words are going to hit. And I'm going to go on and I'm going to stamp this full strength just because I liked the color, because you can see how much color comes through here. Okay. So I'm going to do the second image and then I'll turn it over onto the white so you guys can see it. And then I'm going to put this aside to dry. This is not the one that we're going to work with today because I have other ones that I saved some from completing my projects so that we could do this because these will need time to dry. I'm just going to put this lid on so I don't get ink and stuff. Do that. And onto the white. Look at how lovely that is going to be. So I'll bring that up so you guys can see it. But look at. So we've got just the fine winter words, crystals, wonder, snowflake, magic, evergreen, just showing on the top there. Nice little star. Lovely, right? Okay, so now I'm going to put that aside and I'm going to clean off the stamp. Very important. And I'm going to show you guys how we're going to put these together. So I'm just going to kind of pile all my stamps together here so I don't lose them. But we're done with the stamps and with the inks. That part is all done. So, like I said, it's good to do this kind of assembly-based style. So you just kind of whoosh through them all. Now, the first one that I'm going to do, so this is one that I have already stuck on. So the element of adding the Mod Podge doesn't change. Okay, so this one I've already stamped it. I did a sun behind it. Now I'm going to take off this layer of the extra tissue paper. Okay, so basically this was double stamped just like this. It was on this one page. I cut it in half. This is the first image. So now I'm going to take my sanding block. So you can use, this is like a nail buffing block. You can use that. You can use regular sandpaper. You can also use, if you have a sanding block, it's much handier to do it with sanding block. But if you don't, just regular sandpaper will do. Okay. And now I'm going to take this. It's going to get a little loud, but I'm just going to take this and from the top down with a straight shot down, basically, this is what I'm going to do here. Right? And I'm just going to go around the edges. This will give me a nice fine edge without having to try and trim it with like a X-Acto blade or scissors or anything like that. I'm just going to come around and there we go. Nice, perfect, crisp edge. You can see. Okay, this part now is finished. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over And I'm going to take my other image. This is the exact same. So that's so you want to do all of your fronts and then you're going to let them dry and then you're going to come back and you're going to do all of your backs. So you have whole piles of ones here, just like this, right? So these are all off to the side here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to stick this down and then put it aside to dry. Okay. So my Mod Podge here. And now because I'm putting glitter on it, it won't matter. If I'm using matte or shiny, but for this process, I do prefer the matte in general, because I can always add my own bling, but when it's shiny, you can't get rid of that shine. So sometimes you don't want that. Christmas ornaments, it's not so bad to have the shine because it'll reflect the lights from your tree, stuff like that. But sometimes you don't know that. So, it's a pretty big bottle. Maybe you don't know that this is what you're going to be doing with it. So I always buy the matte and then I can add my own, like I said, I can add my own bling to it if I want to. As you saw in the examples, they were very blingy dingy. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to put this to the side here. And okay, so now I'm going to kind of just hover this over the top here. You can see through it, which is the nice thing. And I'm going to check to make sure that I'm catching all of the edges. So it's covering my entire ornament, which it is. Okay. Where do I want it to sit on here? Okay. I'm just going to push that down gently. Okay, now I'm going to go in with another coating of some Mod Podge or watered down glue, whatever it is that you like to use to stick your items. If you're familiar with Mod Podge, great, use that. Whatever it is that you use for your um, in your crafting tools kind of thing. Okay, so now this second layer, okay, I don't want to be adding too much because it's tissue paper. So, and it's already wet underneath. And now I've added more glue on top. So I've made it wet on very, very, very thin, fragile paper. So you don't want to drag it too much. Have a lot on your brush, enough that you can drag it out. The other thing that is very key is before this dries, because once your Mod Podge dries, it's hard, it's stiff like glue, right? So you want to make sure that you are poking out the hole. So whether you're using your you have like a dye pick or whatever you've got, even a needle, whatever it is that you have, you're going to poke out the paper and the Mod Podge out of the hole. Make sure that you can easily access that part because you'll need it for to put through your ribbon and stuff like that. Now, the last step that I like to do before I put this aside to dry, this is a glitter duster. So it's a little glitter spray gun kind of thing. I fill it with my own clear iridescent glitter. The one that I have in here right now is from Nouveau, comes in a big bottle. And I just put it into here and then you just pump and you get much better control rather than having to dump a whole thing of glitter on top of this and then shake it off and try and put that back in a container. I just come in with this and this will stick to anything that has Mod Podge on it. Okay, so it's a handy dandy little thing. This is a craft supply. I have no idea. There is a craft company out there that carries this, but I don't know what the name of the craft company is that carries it. I got mine. I got a 2-pack off of AliExpress. Just Google, search glitter duster, and it should come up with one of these. And it even came with a little funnel as well for putting your glitter in. So now, because this is complete till it dries, which usually takes about an hour, it could be half an hour, depends on the humidity in your house, things like that. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to put this aside here to dry, just someplace where I'm not going to keep sticking my finger in it. Okay. And I'm going to give this a little bit of a wipe. So you can see some glitter on my craft mat here, but it's not too bad, which is again, though, why I like to do a whole bunch of it all at once, right? Like it's so much easier. So now because I'm not going to be getting to a sink right away, I'm just going to wrap that because I'm done with the Mod Podge for now. And I'm going to put my lid back on and I'm going to have a quick drink. Okay, so I'm not going to go over, obviously what you would do is you would put your first coating down, stick your tissue down just like this. So obviously I was just finishing the second one. So you put your first coating down, coating of Mod Podge, put your image on wherever you want it to be on there, center it up, whatever that looks like. Poke out your hole, put on another coating of glitter or Mod Podge, smooth it out, put on some glitter, put it aside to dry. Then you come back and you shave off the edges using your, like once it's dry, shave off the edges to get a nice crisp edge. And then you do the same thing on the back side. Okay, exact same steps. That doesn't change. All right, so I'm just going to put that aside for right now. And I'm going to bring out now a almost finished one. So here's side one, which I completed, went and did the edges already. Then I came back and I've now glued on edge two. And you'll notice that I poked out the hole for both of them. Okay. So now I'm going to take, again, I'm going to take my craft sanding block and I'm just going to go right around the edges here in a up and down motion, basically. It's going to catch it right at the edge there. And it gives me, so it also starts to tear it off right here. So it gives me a really nice crisp edge. Then I don't have to worry about any overhang, snagging anything like that. Pick that up, put that aside, and we'll take these. So you'll often notice too, as you're sanding, you'll get like little fragments of paper. Sometimes it'll be little, some of the glue overhang or the Mod Podge overhang, plus some glitter. So you'll get some schmutz on your craft mat. Okay. But here I have now one that has been glued and glittered both sides. So I have my stamped image. I've got the glue, the glitter on it. Everything is done except for this raw edge. Now, if you wanted, you could just paint this, call it good, right? But I had an interesting idea one day. Yeah, a friend of mine was using oh geez, gilding flakes. That's the word that I'm looking for. Sorry, guys. Was using gilding flakes, and I thought, oh, I could use gilding flakes on the edge of there because it's just beautiful. And so what I decided to do is I got some Sukwang or double-sided adhesive. Okay, and I'm getting some that is just slightly wider than the diameter, or so the dimension, like the width of my ornament. So for the thinner ornaments, such as this one, the one that I'm using is this one. So you can see that it is just slightly wider than the ornament. And that's so that I can have a little bit of fold over so that I get a little bit of the glitter of the gilding flakes onto the edges of like on the top part here when I fold it around. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my my Sukwang, so my double-sided adhesive, and I'm basically just going to lay it along the side here, trying to, as best as possible, trying to have it evenly going around so that it's even on both sides, but that doesn't always end up working out. You know, I can peel it back a little bit if I need to, but this one's not too bad. It's always nice when something works for a video because it doesn't always, let me tell you. And then I'm just going to trim that off. And I've got a bit of overhang here, so but that's okay. So then I'm just going to kind of run it along my craft mat because I want to kind of activate the adhesive. I want to squish it to the wood, right? And then I'm going to pull this out because I need to have this ready to go because it's messy. Now, so gilding flakes, this is my container of the extras from gilding flakes. But gilding flakes come in many different forms or iteration, whatever, from different companies. So this is Cosmic Shimmer Gilding Flakes. This particular one is called Aurora Lights. And so you can see it's got some copper, some red, some gold, some silver in there. This one is all like rose gold. This one is called Rainbow Flakes, and there's some blues and kind of an orange and some deep golds and some reds. I mean, it's very, very pretty, right? Okay. So maybe I'll use that one. So I'm going to put these aside. So, and there's many different companies. Here's another one. So the first one was, so this is Finnabar. This is Metallic Flakes Copper. Have different colors in that one as well. Cosmic Shimmer. Yeah, there's different companies that carry them. So, and I've got a simple stencil brush. here, plus my Scoochie, which is actually just the Tim Holtz stamp cleaner, and I cut a piece of it off. And this is going to tear it up pretty good, but it is really handy for buffing it in. Okay. And then this, so again, if you're going to be using gilding flakes as a PSA or a friendly tip here is that you want to make sure that you don't have a fan going, like your air conditioning, you're not sitting underneath one of your vents or something like that. Try not to sneeze, because whatever you do, any kind of air movement, this stuff is going to go all over the place. I had so much gilding flakes all over the place, but it was super fun. So I'm going to put this to the side here. Okay, now I'm going to peel my double-sided adhesive off. I'm going to peel the release paper first. Okay, go. Sorry, I want to try and make sure that I am getting this on camera here. Okay, now I have a little bit. So the only thing that doesn't stick to this double-sided adhesive is the release paper. Okay, so now you can see here, or I think you can see here, I'm trying to move that out of the way, but you can see where the extra adhesive is overlaying on the actual width here. So now I'm just taking the adhesive paper and I'm just curling that, sorry, not the adhesive paper, the release paper. Because again, like I said, it doesn't stick to this, right? So I'm just taking a little bit extra and I'm just going around the edge and I'm folding that under so that I have the two-sided adhesive will be on, a little bit on the front and the back, not only on the diameter or the depth of the ornament, but also on the front and the back, so that I will be able to get some beautiful, kind of folded funny there, didn't it? See if I can get that on there. Poker tool. So that I can get a little bit of the beautiful gilding onto the front and back as well. Apparently when I folded this, I folded this tape under. Oh, that's okay. We'll work it out. Okay, so you can see here, I'm just folding it in. Now, what I've done on several of the ornaments, because you can see here, right? So these things are so delicate. Like this one just flew out. I'm going to tap that back into the jar here. But what you could do is I could just dip this in and turn it and then buff it and whatever and use all of these. I'm going to be doing that for some of the smaller ones that I have. But in the meantime, what I've been doing is, but I've been enjoying, because gilding flakes go so far. Looks like you're using so much of them, but you're really not. So I'm just going to kind of tap some of these out. Like, look at that beautiful orange. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can pick it up and you can kind of move it along if you want. Oh, and there's a purple and some blue. So just some of these colors are just, they're just beautiful. So they're just fun to play with. And I'm going to tap them out. Kind of, and then I like to try and spread it out as well a little bit. See how much we're going to get out here. Have to, ooh, look at the blue. Blue, purple. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty. It's very funny when I use these things, because to me, they're very, like, they're just so pretty. And then this is again, one of those things that you don't have any control over, basically. Ooh, that is a huge chunk of gold in there. Look at that. It's going to be pretty on them. Take this big chunk of gold and move it along here in other places, just so that I don't have gold, this huge thing of gold, all in one space, right? Like I don't want to spread some of those colors around, just like that. And then look at this big chunk of blue here. Let's get that on there. Of course, if you're not particular, I'm being quite picky. I'm not always this picky when it comes to my gilding flakes. Oftentimes I'm just like, oh yeah, stick it down, stick it down, stick it down, especially when I've been playing with them for a long time. But if you're not particular, then I've already got a whole bunch down here I could just dip this into, right? But I'm kind of having fun with this. Not kind of, I am having fun with this. And the colors are just stunning. Stunning. Okay, it's gold. Okay. So, and basically, you want to make sure that you have gilding flakes in all of the places that the double-sided adhesive is. Because if it isn't touching, so we need to cover up that double-sided adhesive, because otherwise it'll stick to your counter, it'll stick to your tree. Whatever you pack these in, it's going to stick to it, right? Which is not always fun. So these particular ones, this rainbow one that I'm using, I believe I got from my friend for Christmas last year. That's sometimes it takes a while to use your gilding flakes, find a project for them and stuff. But check out some of my other videos because I do have other videos using gilding flakes. But yeah, you want to make sure that you've got this all in here. So this is a Recollections brand. And as you can see, there is so many in here. This is not the first project that I've used this on. And yet these are still going so far. So I'm just kind of drawing them down and allowing them to kind of fill in some of those spaces before I go and buff this all and everything. I want to make sure that oh, that's a big piece of gold there. Whoop, 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 that's a lot there. That's okay. So all of these flakes, all of these things will attach themselves to the double-sided adhesive. As long as you're finding all of the blank holes and everything, they'll do a great job of adhering to the double-sided adhesive. So, some double-sided adhesive on the outside here. Make sure that that's all covered. And with your finger, so I can feel there's a sticky spot there. So I'm just going to take some out and I'm going to rub that on. And this again, like I can use these for card bases. Like this is not anything that's coming out of this tube or out of this little jar is not going to be wasted. I will use all of this because all of these little flecks, all of the little crumbs and whatever, yeah, they get used in other projects, which is great. Then I don't have to feel like I'm wasting my supplies. But let's be honest, so many of us, well, I don't know, maybe because they're like this, but I have so many supplies. Right. I think when I was doing my organizing video where I was going through all my paper and stuff, I was talking about I just can't keep every single scrap anymore because I have so much that I'm never going to use all of it. And so it becomes a waste and overwhelming and then a thing to feel guilty about instead of actually enjoying my supplies, which that's not much fun. So use what you've got and use as much as you need to. This hobby, this it is about to a certain extent consuming. You can do some recycling and reusing and things like that, but the reality is that it is about there's a heavy amount, ooh, that is a whole lot there. There is a whole lot of element of consumption to this hobby. So, being mindful of that, you want to go ahead, use your supplies. You have my permission. I mean, you don't need my permission, but you have my permission to go ahead and use your supplies. And if you're not using them, and you're feeling guilty about it and it's not bringing you joy anymore, then you have my permission to pass that along to somebody. This is let's make this coming new year about actually enjoying what we have versus the guilt of what we have, that kind of thing. It doesn't always have to be about the excess and the whatever, but there is a certain amount. I mean, we have to use adhesive, we have to use cardstock, we have to use our inks, things like that. Like that doesn't go away, that doesn't stop. That's the nature of our craft. And same thing like these gilding flakes. We have to use them. I mean, they can sit in your drawer or whatever if you want, but then you miss out on making these absolutely gorgeous you know uh projects with them. And so that seems like, I don't know, counterintuitive, I guess. I mean, now before I go and drop any more big clumps into my bin here, I'm going to close that. And I'm going to bring in my what is this? Stencil brush. That's the word. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to tap all of this to make sure that everything has come into contact, that where the double-sided adhesive is, that it is actually touching. So before I go and, oops, that's going to be really pretty when I do the other projects. Look at that. That's so pretty. So that when I go to scuff this or to buff it, that the double-sided adhesive will have everything, like, will be touched. So it's not going to be removed. It will only remove the parts that have not been touched or not touching the double-sided adhesive, I guess, if that makes sense. And okay, I think I've gotten all the way around. So now I'm just going to take the, if you don't have one of these scoochies or the stamp cleaner, this is also the same thing as a humidifier filter. Okay, so you could just go to Home Depot or whatever, Lowe's or whatever you've got in your area, and just pick up some humidifier filter for really, really cheap. And so basically all I'm doing is dragging the kind of the bubbly side, I guess this would be. And basically what it does is it buffs and pulls off all of the little pieces. So it either buffs it more into the two-sided tape or the two-sided adhesive, okay? And it drags off all of the rough stuff, the stuff that isn't adhered, which is why we went and did the tapping motion with it, right? And you do that front, back as well, so that you get nice smooth edges. Okay. And let's put, before I sneeze or something happens, let's put this lid on. Not that it's containing everything, but it is better than nothing. And I'm going to move this out of the way here. Oops. So many gilding flakes all over the place. Okay, and as you can see, yeah, they're still kind of floating around here. So I'm just gonna give that a bit of a wipe and probably put it on my pants or something. But check out the beautiful colors. And so you can still see a little bit of like the wood grain underneath, like where the boards were pressed and everything like that. But look at how beautiful. And it kind of finishes off the edge, right? Just like that. So now the only thing left to do is now we're going to put the ribbon on. And I like to do some ribbon and some beads. And the beads that I just got from the dollar store. So I've got a selection of beads here. And I've got some ribbon. I'm just going to do some white ribbon here. This is just I don't know, what is this? Quarter inch. Maybe that's a half inch. No, I think that's pretty sure that's a quarter inch. So I'm just going to do a length of ribbon. Cut that off and then I'll tell you how long that is, I guess. Okay. Let's see here. So this is roughly, it's probably, you want to take more than what you're going to need. So let's see. So that's 15 inches there, 15 and almost, so it's almost 35. So probably a foot, little over a foot. Okay. And what I'm going to do, so now to try and force this through there, through that tiny little hole, you can see the little hole, that's going to be really challenging. So what I'm going to do, plus not to mention trying to get it through the beads and stuff, not fun, not fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Scotch tape or whatever kind of tape that you've got, and I'm going to fold this and I'm going to tape on there. So now I've folded it in half. Let's see if I can get this really close to you guys here. Fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. So I've basically quartered it as I've put it into my Scotch tape. So I'm trying to make this look almost like the tip of a shoelace. Anybody know what that the plastic end of your shoelace is called? I know there's a specific word for it, and I don't know what it is offhand, but look at, so that's going to go through there much better than just trying to get the ribbon to go through all on its own. I could get the ribbon through, but it ends up being quite frayed by the time I'm done. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other end because I'm going to have to try and put beads on it as well. So, I mean, the one end would go fine, would go through my uh, ornament just fine, but I also am going to need to try and do some beads. So I'm going to try and get this here in front of you again, see if you can see this. So this is folded in half. Now I'm going to fold it into a quarter like that. And then I'm going to roll my Scotch tape. So you can do this with masking tape as well. I just find Scotch tape, number one, usually at this time of the year is easy to find. And number two, it's see-through, so I can see what I'm doing, okay? All right, so that's going to be much easier to try and push through. Still not always like super easy, but easier to push through. Plus, it also gives my poker something to hold on to as I try to push it through. Okay, so there we go. So I've now got my two pieces coming through. So I'm going to try and get them roughly even like this. Can I measure them out to here like that? Okay, so as for beads, what am I liking? So I kind of like this kind of mustardy yellow color is quite nice, right? Like with the scene that I have, plus with the gilding flakes. So so you can get beads from Amazon. Like I said, I got these ones from the dollar store. They're just wood beads. These ones have been painted. You can get some that aren't painted, whatever. Natural colored, you can stain them, dye them, whatever. And so I'm going to do, first of all, that's the biggest bead. So I'm going to do that one. Kind of like the red, matches some of the colors that are in there. So I'm going to do this one. This reddish orangey color. Okay, like that. Okay, and then let's see here. I think I like this light color, which kind of contrasts quite nicely off of there. And it kind of matches the wood underneath. So we're going to push that through as well. There we go. So I want to keep those as tight as possible. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm just going to tie a knot right at the top of the beads. Oops, come on. There. So I want to try and get that as close as possible to the top of the beads. Okay, so because I don't want the beads to move a ton. So I didn't finish that. I might have tied that too tight. I have to get a second knot in there. Try not to have to do that, but this ribbon is quite filmy, not filmy, what's not flimsy, but it's really foldable and thin. It's ribbon because it's a little silky. I used there we go. So now I have a double knot, which holds that a lot better there. I use some like this gingham ribbon, which is a heavier cotton. So when it folds in half, it's much thicker. So a single knot would do well for something like that. But because this is so filmy and light, it's almost like silk, like a negligee kind of thing. And then what I do is I like to take this and I will just do a knot at the end here. Oops. I like to give it a little bit of space between the beads and the second knot. Like that. Come in with my scissors and I'm going to chop off the top, that, and now, okay, so we've got some really good area for hanging, like on a tree or wherever somebody wants to hang this from. But there we go. That is our project. Okay. So again, we went straight from, well, not straight from, but we created our scene. We did a double. So I'm going to cut this in half. One is for this side. One is for this side. Then we Mod Podged on the front part, did some glitter, poked out the hole, let it dry. And then we sanded that off, sanded the edges, put the second part on, put some Mod Podge on, put the tissue paper on, poked out the hole, put some more Mod Podge and some glitter, let that dry. And then we sanded that edge, sanded all of the edges off. And then we came in with some double-sided adhesive just around the edges here and put gilding flakes on. Okay, of whatever color, whatever you've got, and then finished it off with a few beads. Really, it seems like it takes a long time. It doesn't take a long time. It's just a process. So I like to do it all in like assembly style. So when I did all of my stamping onto the tissue paper first, and then I added the details. So I did that, and then I did all of my fronts, and then did the edges, sanded all of the edges, and then I did all of the backs. Sanded all of the edges, and then I've gone through and I've done all of the gilding flakes. And then, because I'm making a mess, so I want to get all of the gilding flakes over with and clean up after that. And then I came through and did the beads, so the ribbons and the beads. And that's my final step. And so these are going to make wonderful gifts for my friends and family. And as I said, I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Keep it kind. So please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and share this with your friends and family. If you have any questions or if I wasn't clear on something, please do also leave that in the comments. In the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. You all take care. Thank you so much. And bye-bye.